Has it really been 11 months since I did this? Yikes. Well, last time on The Pinnacle of Lazy Content, we had a look at Green Lego Cats 123, who I still believe is easily the worst Roblox YouTuber out there right now. This time, we're taking a look at the gamer... What? Huh? Okay, I guess the gamer can wait. Today, we're actually talking about Green Lego Cats again. Just kidding, we're talking about Nathorix, because what's the difference? Well, they both make terrible content, but one of them makes terrible content and is also an absolute shameless creep. The pinnacle of lazy content? More like the pinnacle of predatory content. I'll be referring to him as Nathan from here on out, because nobody should have to pronounce that username. Recently, Nathan uploaded an awful apology video for some odd things he did to an underage girl recently. I say apology very loosely, because while the video is titled I'm sorry, he spends almost the entire time talking about how it's just the dark humor that he has in his friend circles, and using the fact that his personal information got leaked as an excuse to play the victim.
My address is not public, so is my name, so is my family's names. So is everything that's personal to me. I'm sure you guys have those friend groups where you make really messed up jokes. Like, you will understand that it's a joke. It's not serious, like...
Let's break this down one step at a time. For starters, what did he even send?
I don't know, but I've been told that, you know, you've apparently, like, sent nudes. That's because, I don't know, but...
Sent, like, a from Google. I don't know, I'm just, like, really concerned if, like... Because, I mean, I kind of hope he does make a video, because that's free content for me, but...
Free content, really, bro?
I know, but, like, why would you send a pic from Google to someone you probably knew that was a minor, yeah. I mean, you guessed her age, I guess, but you said that... Apparently,
no, I guessed 14. I guessed incorrectly.
Okay, Crazy, can you play the audio that Nathan sent you?
Crazy, please, just send me a picture. It'll take a second, please, thank you.
Yeah.
Me.
It's worth noting that he goes out of his way to avoid naming people in this video or giving any sort of context as to what actually happened. His excuse for this is that he doesn't want to send hate to people, but it's clear that this lack of context is what leads his fans to blindly support him, because they see it as him just getting hate for a joke.
And I'm not naming names because I don't want my audience to go and hate on people. I'm not going to say the name actually, just because, again, the hate, for the people that are on my side.
It only takes one look in the comment section to see what I mean.
Stealing someone's personal info? Now that's illegal.
I think there's also some other illegal thing going on in this situation, but I can't put my finger on it. It's hilarious that this is the one point that always gets brought up in his defense, because if you actually do any research, there doesn't seem to be any leak of his information out in the public right now, which kind of ruins his cry for sympathy when he says my address is public right now. He even names the person who doxed him, and looking through their Twitter, there's nothing. At most, it may have been out there at some point, but it clearly isn't now. The only mentions of him getting doxed you can find are the people saying how terrible it is that something like that would happen, but not any actual information on it. Here's another comment.
I wonder if Sandra is going to use this video for another one of her pathetic excuses.
What? Why are we bringing Sandra into this? I get it, they have beef, and Sandra has done her fair share of awful things, but at least she's not a predator, I hope?
At least you confessed, unlike some other people.
Again, we're bringing Sandra into this. It's incredibly concerning how willing these people are to divert attention away from the predator to this woman on Roblox who exploits. Are you kidding me?
I will never unsub unless he kills someone.
That's quite a high bar you're setting there, buddy.
What? Nathorix said a bad joke? Off with his head!
And this is the clearest example of how misleading this video is. Everyone thinks he got in trouble for making an offensive joke despite it going far beyond that. One more interesting tidbit about this video. I left a comment on it expressing how much of a disgusting creep I think this guy is, and it seems to have been suppressed. As my friends noted, they weren't able to find the comment, and there is no interaction with it whatsoever. So clearly clearly what I said got picked up by a filter. And if you need any more proof this whole thing is a non-apology, just look to his own Twitter. He says here that the apology was for making an offensive joke in a group with an underage person, and not for directly being a creep to said person. Speaking of which, let's check on the rest of his Twitter. Here we've got absolute classics, like that time he replied to a 14-year-old telling him to stop being creepy with an image of a naked man, or that time he put up a poll for his underage followers asking if they sleep naked. It is actually baffling how anyone in his audience can be blind to this. Nathan tries to defend this by claiming his audience mostly consists of 18 to 24-year-olds and that kids shouldn't be watching his videos anyway, but the only evidence to back this up is YouTube's built-in analytics for that, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out that these statistics can easily be wrong. Did the thought never occur to anyone that kids will often lie about their age when signing up or use a parent's account? Let's look at my analytics, for example. According to this, only 11% of my audience is under the age of 18. Somehow I doubt that 89% of the people watching a channel primarily focused on a children's Lego game are adults. Even when he's not being a creep, his Twitter is still an absolute train wreck. A genuine criticism? LOL.
Guys, I only made a Gas the Jews joke once or twice.
You did what now? You mind repeating that, buddy? Here, let me fix that for you.
I only preyed on an underage girl once or twice, guys.
Even if we pretend everything I just said never happened, the rest of his content still isn't good. It's generally on the clickbaity side of things, and any editing that appears in his videos is minimal at best. It's like a 2016 commentary channel, but somehow even worse. When he isn't doing that, then he's just ripping off people like Mr. Beast, with his videos donating to random Roblox streamers. It's all super bland and clearly doesn't take much effort to make, considering one of his goals for 2019 is to upload multiple videos daily. Here's a better goal to set for yourself. You need to seek help, because calling you a sad, strange little man would be an understatement. To say you are scum with no redeeming qualities would be more accurate, and unlike Cow, I cannot say that you're probably a decent person outside of all this, since this actually goes far beyond petty Lego drama. If you've got anything else to say for yourself other than lol, because you're incapable of coming up with a good reply, then by all means, leave it in the comments. I'll even be nice and pin your comment, just to make sure it's easier for people to see how much you embarrass yourself. Once you're done with that, either stop creeping on your audience of literal children, or just drop off the face of the earth like Mr. Obvious did. Either works. Next time, we'll actually be taking a look at The Gamer, because I already wrote the script for that episode but wanted to get this one out first since it's a more pressing matter.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
So, Nathan responded to my video, unsurprisingly, and also unsurprisingly this will not be difficult to reply to, because despite his gloating on Twitter about how I gave him exactly what he needed to defend himself, this thing completely fell flat. A good chunk of the video is spent not even talking about my video, and he only acknowledges the first half of it before just ending the response there. What he does acknowledge demonstrates a clear misunderstanding of what points I was even trying to make. I'll make sure not to do the same here though, and actually go through his whole response one step at a time. This will be my last input on the matter, because at this point I'll have made my point so clear that there's nothing else to say. He starts off this video by repeating the same stuff he's been saying already, that people shouldn't be upset by edgy jokes that are purely for the shock value. Incredible.
The reason for making this video, or at least the main reason, is to defend free speech. The fact that there's a pattern actually helps me prove that I've made these kind of jokes in the past. That definitely doesn't make any repetitions of those jokes any less of a joke. I think it just proves that I am actually joking.
He somehow thinks that people bringing this stuff up helps his argument because it helps prove that he's known to make what he calls offensive jokes. Unfortunately, this does not help your case because you are an adult. You don't talk about minors like that. If you were to joke about other adults like that, then go ahead, I guess. Have at it. It's still kind of creepy, but at least it's not illegal. Nobody is stopping you from making actual offensive jokes, and this isn't the filthy liberals trying to take away your freedom of speech. This is a matter of basic decency. But sure, let's just compare it to a 9/11 meme, because apparently that's the same as making sexual remarks about a real-life minor, which can have real-life consequences.
For example, here's a 9/11 meme of Buzz Lightyear flying into the Twin Towers. Why is this funny? Shock value.
Then he goes on to bring up Sandra again.
I'm pretty sure Sandra was one of the people who were rallying behind everyone else. And I'm sure because she's saying that, she would never ever make a racist joke or send NSFW to a minor like I did.
Dude, nobody cares. At least not right now. I get it, she's a nasty person too, but we can get to her later. Trying to use her past actions as justification for you doing the same thing is not helping anyone and is beyond pointless. Afterwards, he says that he wouldn't have sent those questionable pictures from Google if he knew the girl was underage.
This image I got from Google Images, I had no idea of the age of the person I was sending it to.
Here, let me tell you something. Ignorance doesn't make you exempt from the law. In any case, if you aren't entirely sure about how old someone is, then just don't send stuff like that. It's clearly not worth the gamble, since you're having to talk about this right now. Next, he mentions that he's not paying people to leave likes or nice comments on his videos.
And just a couple frequently asked questions. No, I didn't like bot my video. No, I'm not paying people to leave nice comments and support me on Twitter or YouTube.
Okay, nobody accused you of doing that, but go off, I guess. Next, he goes back to his argument about how he didn't know the age of the person he sent the questionable Google image to, and gives further context as to what happened.
So first of all, the messages. Well, that's the easiest one. It was all in a joking context. It was all satire. None of it was serious. The images again. It was just a more serious version of the messages, and I still had no idea of the age of the person at the time. The only time I found out the age actually was when I was in a group chat with a few people. Pink Cat was in the group, and I think it was Pink Cat that said, "Guys, so guess our age." Obviously, the second he says, "Okay guys, guess our age," I was pretty much like, oh maybe she isn't over 16, because 16 is the age of consent, by the way, in the UK.
Let me stop you right there. While it is true that the age of consent in the UK is 16, that does not matter when you are an adult, because at that point you aren't supposed to be having any kind of questionable interactions with a minor.
And she was fine with all these jokes at the time that we were in the group chat. If she wanted me to stop, I would have stopped.
And just because she was okay with your uncomfortable jokes, as you call them, does not mean anything, because also according to the law, children can't consent. Next up, he talks about the weird recordings he sent on Snapchat where he asks for pictures. And again,
It was just a joke, guys, because you can totally tell by his tone.
apparently.
As you can tell by the tone, it's not exactly that seducing. It's not a serious request. Like, for example, in the second audio file, it sounds like I just got killed by Sans and Undertow, and I kind of just want to shoot myself.
It sounds like a rather unsettling tone to me, but I guess that's subjective. He concludes this section by going on again about how comedy should have no limits, which I agree with on paper, but when it actually starts interfering with the law, maybe you should stop. Then we get some more Twitter stuff, and he actually makes a decent argument here because someone did misunderstand an actual joke he made here, but it doesn't really prove anything other than people on Twitter are stupid sometimes. Moving on, we finally arrive at the good stuff. 9 minutes in, and over halfway into this video, he actually responds to me directly, and it's about as embarrassing as I had hoped. You're making this too easy. So the very first diss here is that it's ironic for me to have a series about lazy content when I went 11 months without uploading one.
The series in which he barely ever uploads on, which is quite ironic considering the name.
I get the joke he's trying to make here, but you do realize I have better things to do than consistently make videos about Roblox drama. I've got a main channel to be maintaining, you know. Am I lazy because I stopped making those stop-motion machinimas a couple years ago? Is my work there just invalidated? No. His next point as to how I'm lazy is how I spend most of the time talking over background footage of various landscapes in this series.
All of the background footage is just him sticking his camera out of the window whilst his parents driving their car. The background is pretty lazy.
Look, buddy, I know the idea of someone going outside might be a little offensive to you considering you gotta stay indoors working on all those masterpieces of yours, but maybe take a moment to consider that this is a second channel you're talking about. Like, the entire point is that I put lower effort content onto it that wouldn't fit onto my main channel because of that. And are you even seeing yourself right now? Your videos are literally the same thing, including the one we're talking about right now, except you're talking over video game footage rather than landscape footage, and I do it better. What makes this even more hilarious is that he follows this up by talking about how I was originally a big inspiration to him, but I guess since I've gotten into a bit of a disagreement with him, my content is terrible now. Keep going, buddy.
But in all seriousness, I did look up to Epikrika. He was one of the people that inspired me to make my videos. I actually watched him closely as I made my videos, and I thought he was the owner of more than 2 brain cells, but apparently not.
He does another bit about how everyone makes messed up jokes with their friends, but I think I've already argued against this point, let's see here, 17 times already, so we're just gonna skip it. Here he talks about the part where I mentioned the lack of context in his apology video from him not naming people or talking about what happened. The main point here was that he gave no indication as to what he really did, but he decided to run with the not mentioning names part and go out of his way to mention as many names as possible because that's apparently what I was asking him to do.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and reveal all the names right now. The name from the clip he just shown, the name I wasn't saying is Crazy. C-R-A-Z-E on Discord.
No, genius. I told you that it's rather manipulative to make an apology video for something you only describe in an extremely vague way, so that way people will blindly support you.
Yeah, because having my name on a GoFundMe with my address hidden and all of my personal information hidden, having my name out there is having the equivalent of my dead grandparents' names, pictures of them, my address, my postcode, my girlfriend, my school, my 10-year-old sister's school.
Once again, you have completely missed the point here. The point is that you listed your name as one of the things that got leaked, but your name is actually public information. That's it. Not once did I say, yes, it is a good thing to leak someone's personal information and address. And let me reiterate this. This appears to be heavily exaggerated because there is no docs that appears to be in circulation right now. It may have been at some point, but it isn't now. Is that clear enough for you, buddy?
And then he just goes on to speed up the footage because he goes on about it for some time, pretty much leaving out all the context in my video and just ignoring what I was saying so his audience have no clue what I was saying. And in this video, believe it or not, he was about context.
Then he gets mad about me speeding up the part where he goes on about his joking excuse and how that's hypocritical of me for leaving out context. The difference here is that I sped through that part because it was redundant. You already made your point about how your friends make offensive jokes, so let's move on. What you did to leave out context was barely talk about what happened in the first place and call it an apology.
How dare people defend me because my personal information got leaked? That's why I'm so shaky in the video, because my address was leaked the second before I made the video. I found out.
Refer to what I said earlier. There is nothing wrong with people thinking it's bad for you to get doxxed, but it is a problem when people think that just invalidates any consequences your actions may have.
I didn't realize there were this many SJWs in the world. It's insane. I bet if I made a Nazi joke, you call me a racist too, and like a Nazi.
Are you really gonna pull the SJW card again? Yep, it's that darn liberal agenda. A bunch of triggered snowflakes is what they are. Get over yourself, honestly. He continues on this point for a little longer before ending the video, and that's it. No, really, that's it. He went through a small portion of my video and then gave up, because I guess he doesn't want to talk about his awful tweets. I'm still waiting on the reason you asked your underage followers if they sleep naked, but I guess we'll never know. Thank you once again for making this so easy for me. I'm out. Any Nathan fans who are coming to my channel, please subscribe.